If you find the people that need your service and you go offer it to them, that is all it takes to get your first paying client and make your next $1,000 or your next paying client. It really doesn't matter if it's your first or your 100th. If you're struggling to get sales, this is all you need to do.
Welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur, the podcast that helps you expand your reach and convert that reach into clients so you can lead your tribe with confidence and create change in the world while living the life you desire. And now your host, certified business coach and consultant, Mariana Ruiz.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to make your next $1,000. I can't wait to share all of the details about this super valuable episode that I've been working on behind the scenes. Get ready. Okay, so let's dig right in. You may have been working pretty hard on your business, or you're just getting started and you're like, what do? I need to just make $1,000. Maybe you've already been doing stuff in your business and you're doing great and you just want a little income boost, or perhaps this is your first $1,000 and you're not really sure where to go from here. And the reason that I wanted to share this is because I recently had a client who started a brand new business in a brand new market. In 3 days in, she got her first paying client. And I was like, awesome, right? And I wanted to share this with you because I think sometimes, especially with online business, we tend to overcomplicate things. And it really does not have to be complicated. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to work in brain surgery. And for me, brain surgery is really complicated and business is not. And I'm going to share with you kind of the secrets and the behind the scenes of what you can do to really simplify things and make things really easy for yourself and really start to get the results and the momentum that you want in your business. Now, I have broken down this training into 2 parts. The first part is the mindset part. Now, if you skip this, you probably are not going to get through to the end. And I'm just going to be really frank and honest with you. So you must believe in yourself. You must do the mindset work and the internal behind the scenes work, because that's usually where people get stuck. Like when you look at the strategy and the behind the scenes of what it really takes to build a business that makes money, you'll see how simple and easy it is. And if we don't work on the mindset stuff, that's the stuff that starts to creep up. It's those fears, the lack of belief, and the limiting beliefs that are what will hold you back ultimately. And I also want you to know that you have everything already inside of you in order to make this happen. So believe in yourself. And this is part of the work that I do with my one-on-one clients, right? We look at like, what are the stories? What is the mindset stuff that's really blocking me from getting the results that I want in my business? In the one-on-one coaching, what I do is start to really reflect that and help you see the things that are holding you back. And most importantly, see the amazing parts of yourself that you're probably not giving yourself nearly enough credit for. So again, this will be 2 parts, and let's dive right into the mindset part. So there's a few things about the mindset. The first, and I think it's the most important thing, is being coachable. So are you coachable? Are you willing to learn something new? And here's the hardest part about being coachable. It's not just about learning the new stuff. It's about changing your current circumstances. So are you willing, ready, and able to make a change today? Because in order for things to change, you have to be willing to change things in your life. And that's ultimately something that can be a struggle for people, right? Is making the changes and going through with that plan. And the other thing is that sometimes you might be thinking, okay, I've already heard this information before. I might have already done something like this and it just doesn't work for me, right? That is not being coachable. And I go really deep on this topic in episode 8 of this podcast. So go back and listen to episode 8 if you want a whole new twist on how you can learn to be more coachable and kind of how 6- and 7-figure business owners stay coachable and what I have seen that really sets those people apart in their ability to be coachable. And part of being coachable is that it's not really about the information and how new, crazy, sexy, and amazing it is that you can make $1,000 using this crazy new, brand new tool, right? And I think if you're listening to this episode up until now, you're like, yep, I totally get it, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this brand new, sexy, crazy thing. And just be open to tweaking some of the things that you might already be doing, and that these small adjustments that you'll learn here will probably catapult your business to the next level. Thing number 2 about the mindset piece is believing in yourself. So right now, I'm actually just wrapping up the business bootcamp. So the Biz Bootcamp is a program that I offer that helps you to make back your entire investment back within the period that we're coaching together, which is a 10-week long coaching program. And I honestly guarantee that you're going to make back the entire investment in coaching. And one of the things that I see holding people back from, even this is the second time I've run it with the money back guarantee. And the first time I ran it, I can't tell you how many people came to the call and were like, yeah, I want to do this. And then I would ask them, do you believe in yourself that you can do this, right? Do you believe that you can earn back your entire investment in 10 weeks? And they would say no. They did not believe in themselves and believe that they could make the money back. And whatever you believe is ultimately what will happen, right? And so I want to show you that this I don't believe I can do it shit is bullshit, quite honestly, because you did believe in yourself at some point the day you started your business. And so if I say, do you believe you can make $1,000 in your business? This, and I don't even have a time frame. This could be like in a month, in 2 months, or it could be in a week. And you say to this, yes, but then inside your gut and inside you start to have those whispers of doubt. I want to talk to you for a moment here and just share with you. And we're using $1,000 as an example, right? But you can do this with any money amount. If you're struggling to get to the next level, do this exercise, okay? So why did you start your business? Can you think back to that moment when you did believe in yourself for that 0.2 seconds when you said, I'm doing this business. I can do it. Because I know that if you started a business, you obviously believe in yourself enough to put yourself out there to say, I am a business owner, and to get out there and start providing your services to people. So that is what we need to cultivate. So I want you to go back to that moment and journal about what it is that was going through your head. How did you know that this was possible for you? What is the service? And we're not even talking about the money, right? When you started your business, you might not have thought like, I want to have $1 million business, but you're a service-driven entrepreneur, right? So what was your goal? What were you thinking, right? Were you like, I can help a lot of people with this gift that I have, right? I can help a lot of people to whatever the problem is that you solve. And I want you to go back there, because that is where your belief can come from. It can come from you knowing that you have believed in yourself enough to get started. So I don't care if you're on day 2 or you're on day 300 or 700, right? Or like you're like on year 20. I don't care. I know that you believe in yourself, and that's why you're here, and that's why you've stuck it out as long as you have. And if you didn't believe in yourself, you would have never started, right? So let's just give this I don't believe in myself bullshit out of the way, okay? Next, I want to talk about reframing failure, because that's thing number 3 that I think is really important when it comes to the mindset stuff. And if you listen back to some of my earlier episodes, one that I can remember is the one that I did with Kelly Roach, and we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. But she talked about fail fast, fail frequently, and fail forward, or something like that. It was a really cute little quote that she had said. And I believe it's kind of like one of the mantras that they use in Silicon Valley. And it's really just about the fact that if you fail, it is just data that you can use to kind of see where you're going to go forward with. And I love this quote by Thomas Edison. And he talked about the fact that he said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And in business, right, you might have had some quote unquote failures. Maybe you launched a product, a program, a service, and it didn't do as well as you had hoped, right? Or maybe you didn't get enough people in and that was why. We don't really know why things fail. And so when we can look at that as data and just say, well, and I can't tell you how many times I do this with my clients. So they'll do a webinar, they'll have 10 people on the webinar and they'll be like, oh, my product failed. And I'm like, no, it didn't. You don't have nearly the sample size in order to make sure that webinar converted, right? So we're going to do it again. We're going to get more people in there. We're going to see for real what the numbers are. So just using those failures, whether they be big or small, as data towards going where you ultimately want to go. And this leads me to the next thing about mindset, and that is looking at data, not feelings. So similarly to that webinar example, what can happen is that you are midway through the process and you let your feelings of what you think might happen or might be happening drive you rather than data. So as a coach, I often will ask you, how does that feel? And I want to be clear about this, right? I want you to use your feelings, your intuition, your gut, all of that. But I want you to use it in the beginning because there's a huge difference between the feeling of intuition and the feeling of fear. But if you are really in it, sometimes it can be hard to distinguish the two things. And so when we're talking about a strategy, whether it be, should I launch with a webinar? Should I launch with a challenge? Whatever that is, should I sell this program? Should I sell that program? Whatever that is, when we're at that decision point, that's when you use the feelings. However, if you're in it and you're terrified and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. I've invested money and time and I'm freaking out because you're in the middle of a launch, right? Perhaps that is not a good time to be like, I don't know. I feel I'm doing everything wrong or things are going bad or whatever. Perfect example. So I was on the phone with one of my friends last week and she has a Facebook community. And if you've been kind of up and noticing around online, a lot of Facebook communities are closing down, big ones. People are closing down Facebook communities and they're launching paid community that is like a membership site. Okay. And that's a very clear distinction. And we'll link to an episode I did on what's going on with Facebook groups. It was a Facebook Live that I did inside of my Facebook group. I'll link to that in the show notes as well. So my friend was like, everything is going wrong. My engagement is down in my Facebook group. I just don't know if I want to do this whole Facebook group thing. People aren't commenting. People aren't liking. It's not growing. All of this stuff that she was doing, all based on feelings. Okay. And I say it like that because here's what happened. She had let me be an administrator in her group a couple months ago because I was helping her with something. And so conveniently now Facebook has analytics section. So I went into the analytics section and I was looking in there. And there I go, look, she has a post in there that she did in the last 20 something days that had 30 comments. And she had a lot of them like that. She had like a 30 comment, like a 20, a 10. And I'm like, where's the non-engagement? You have way more engagement in your group than I have in my group, right? And I showed her the proof, the data. And her group had grown by 30 something % in the last 28 days. And I was like, and where's the no growth? You've grown by 30 something %. Obviously, you're doing things right. Obviously, you're on the right track. But when you're in the middle of it, that is not the time to let your feelings guide you. So if you're in that shaky, like, I don't know what I'm doing and all of that, number one, gotta reach out for support. Reach out for support because that's when you can end up self-sabotaging when you're in the middle of the thing. Okay. Number two is go look at the data. Is this based on a feeling and based on fear and based on comparison to what other people are doing, or is this a really legitimate problem? And the data doesn't lie. The data is just telling you the objective truth. So if there's data available, go look at the data. Okay. So now I think we're ready to talk about the strategy. What is it that you're going to do, right? Besides the mindset stuff we talked about belief. We talked about looking at data, not feelings. We talked about reframing failure and we talked about being coachable. So now we are ready, right? Because you were coachable and because you sat through that whole thing about mindset, we are ready for the strategy of things, right? And here's the strategy. What happens with business owners in the first couple of years of their business? The main things that they're trying to figure out is what to sell and who to sell it to. So the best way that you can do is not determine things out of thin air. What we're going to do is go find the people. Okay, so who's your ideal client? Now, if you're like, I don't know who my ideal client is, blah, 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 blah. Number one, pick somebody. Pick somebody who you think you'll want to help with. And I know you're a service-based person. You want to help others. So pick somebody that you want to help. And if you can't pick one, pick two, and let's go do the research. Okay. This is where you get to put your scientist hat on. You get to go and do research and experiment and really dive into who it is that you serve and be more interested in them than yourself. Okay. It's not about you making $1,000. It's about how can I help this person? What is the problem this person is having that I can help them with? And so we start doing that with research. Now, I'm a firm believer in doing not forms, but actual conversations, interviews with people. So in this research phase, my goal for you is to go and talk to 5 to 10 people inside of your target market. And if you're unsure about, ideal client, target market, all of that kind of stuff, just choose somebody, right? Choose a target market and go see if the problem that they have is something that you want to solve and that you can solve. Okay. And then you can repeat this with somebody else if you'd like to. And if you're set on your target market, you know who you're serving, go and interview 5 to 10 actual people. Now you might be saying, but Mariana, I don't know how to interview. How am I going to get these people on the phone? How? Number one, ask people. This is what I mean about being coachable, right? Do you care enough about things changing that you're going to let yourself be uncomfortable and go ask the 5 to 10 people? Because that is really the thing that you need to do. And I know I'm being a hard ass today, but this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone, right? In business, you're going to be getting out of your comfort zone a lot. And sometimes this can feel super scary. I know I'm an introvert. I was terrified. And my coach told me to do this a little over 2 years ago now. In my first round of market research interviews, I think she had told me to interview not 5 to 10. I had to do 50, no joke. And what I found is that because I had no authority and no email list, no following, it was kind of hard to find that many people, 50 people to talk to. But what I did is I just got out there. I got in Facebook groups. I started conversations. I asked for connection calls. I was like, okay, now can I do a market research call? Okay, great. Build this all off of real relationships with real people. It is not rocket science. This is how simple it can be, okay? So my goal was to do 50 and I had no authority. Nobody knew who I was. I was brand new. So what I did was I asked a lot of people one-on-one. And what happened is that out of those 50, I had a low show up rate. So some of the people would schedule calls and they wouldn't show up. And that's okay. That's normal. They don't know who you are yet. But once you start to really cultivate those relationships and start to create a name for yourself, that's when you can really start growing and expanding. Okay. But that's the thing. A lot of people are teaching it's an online business. Do everything. Do Survey Monkey. It's great. It's great until you get back the results and you're like, I can't tell what you really want from this and I have no idea who you are. And now I'm going to go and create a product and put myself out there and I don't even know if this is really what you want, right? So do it right from the beginning. Do it because it might be a little more scary, but it's a lot more effective. And when you have cultivated that relationship, you can go back to them and be like, hey, how does this sound? Is this kind of what you meant when you said that you needed help with this? Because I might be totally off. And I need your feedback. I need your help, right? It is now a relationship. It's a back and forth. It is not about market research. It is not about filling out a form. And it is not about creating a product. It's about helping somebody who has a real problem, okay? So next you look at the data, right? So you've done the research, 5 to 10 interviews. I want you to record them all. And if you can, so in this last round that I did it really cool. I used Trent.com, and I had all of them transcribed and I uploaded them into Google Docs. And then I put that Google Doc information into these little, I don't know what you call it, but it told me what were the most common words. And that ended up being really cool visually, but also most importantly, it allowed me to really just get a sense for what everybody was saying, right? So I looked at each one individually and then I looked at it all together and got to see what the themes are. That's how you start to analyze the data. So that's kind of the next step is look at the data. There are 3 guiding questions you can use. Number 1, what is the number 1 problem that they're struggling with? What is that problem? And it has to be really specific. The more specific, the better. So between the first round of interviews that I did and this last round, right? So in the first round, it was like, I'm struggling to grow my business. And I would accept that as an answer. But in this round, I was a lot more aware of the problem I was looking for. So I was like, okay, well, what about your business are you struggling with? Okay, sales. Okay, great. So what is it about sales that's a problem, right? And what would come out is I feel really sleazy in sales. I just hate sales, or I don't want to be pushy. And I was like, okay, now I know the problem. The problem isn't that they can't grow their business. It's that they're terrified of sales. They can't get out there. And luckily, that's the number 1 transformation that I give my clients. All of my clients say that they are more empowered to ask for the thing that they need after working with me. Perfect match, right? So we have to get down to the nitty-gritty of the problem. It's not what they paint the problem to be, but like dig a few layers if you can. So ask them why that's important to them. What about it makes them struggle with it? And you, as somebody who knows your stuff and knows kind of like the things that you know how to do, you can also start to like weave that in and ask for more detailed questions. And then what did they feel that they were stuck with or needed help with, right? So like I said, that allowed me to get to the sales conversation stuff. And then what pattern stood out to you, right? So was there a pattern that kind of emerged between all of the people that you interviewed? And next, work on creating the offer. So now that you know what the problem is, it's time to create a simple solution for it. One of the biggest transformers of your business is that if you stop creating solutions just because you want to sell them and you start creating solutions for specific problems because it's something that you feel called to, that you know that you can solve for them and that it's actually helping somebody. Okay. So what we're going to do is create the offer next. So now here's an interesting thing, right? The first round of the market research interviews, the coach that I was working with had asked me to ask them what the price of my program should be, right? Like if I solve this problem for you, let me know how much you think that, or how much you would be willing to pay for this. And then I would ask, would you be willing to pay for this on a scale of 1 to 10? How willing are you to pay for this today? And so a lot of them in the first round were giving me such varied answers. I mean, I got from $5 to like $2,000 and $1,500 around there. And I was like, what the heck? Like, this is so varied. And so I started omitting that question from all of my questionnaires. And it wasn't until, and by the way, as you can tell, I do these over and over again. I don't just do this once and be like, oh, my business is ready, I'm done. No, I do this anytime I come up with a new offer, anytime I want to kind of change my wording, my copywriting, anytime that I'm experimenting with or thinking about going into a different specialty. This is really important for you to do on a regular basis in your business. So anyways, this time, it's now about 2.5 years since I started my first business. And I was like, I'm going to try that pricing thing again because I am a little bit stuck on that part for this offer. And so what I found is that most of the people were pricing the program about 50% higher than what I wanted to actually charge for the program. And I went ahead and still priced it at that lower price point because I ran it as a beta program. But I just want to share that with you because I think it's important that you know, number one, that the pricing thing will vary. So if you do ask about pricing, some people will tell you really high, some people will tell you really low. And I think number two, and I think it's really, really important, is that sometimes we're not the best judge of how much that problem being solved really is worth to that person. So the value that that person perceives could be more than what we perceive as the provider of that knowledge, okay? That knowledge or information or whatever it is that you sell, okay? So that is an interesting thing that I just wanted to share with you. Okay. Next, I want to talk about pricing your offer, okay? So when you're deciding to price on it, you can choose a number that feels good to you. And so this is why I priced my program the way that I wanted to price it, not the higher amount that they had suggested. I priced it at what I wanted to price it at because I wanted to feel really, really good about my offer. And I felt that the market research allowed me to feel even better about growing and scaling that program after. And so I still charged the amount that I wanted to for this beta round. By the way, if you're wondering what that program is that I did the research on, it's the impact formula. Okay. So anyways, let's go on. And I do have a couple of episodes that we talk about pricing. So 2 episodes ago, it's the one with Lauren Jean, and we can link up to it in the show notes. That episode, I actually interview Lauren Jean about how to start a podcast. She has a business where she helps you to start a podcast, and she has a done-for-you service in her business. And that's one of the ways that you can offer a higher level offering, right? So if you're like, how do people charge so much sometimes? And it's because they're doing a done for you service. So for my Facebook ad consultant clients, I actually charge a little bit more than my coaching rate. And that's because I do everything. I do the research in their business for them, right? So that takes up a lot more time, energy, effort, and it's done for you. So that's a higher end program. Okay, so if you want to learn how to structure your packages, if you have higher end stuff and some Y stuff or some coaching or however, right? Go listen to that episode. And I also did an on-air coaching session with Jackie Medeiros. And in that episode, I actually walked step by step through how to create your offers. So go back to that episode if you need more help on what to offer and how to offer it and how much to charge for it. So if you've taken action up until this point, which you're listening to this episode, so you're probably listening for the overview first. And of course, you're going to save this into your podcast app or whatever you use so that you can listen to it as you're implementing everything. So now you've interviewed the 5 people, you've listened to them, you identified the problem, and now you've created an offer for them. So now it's time to go into the phase where we actually go tell them what the offer is. Some people call this selling. I say it's just helping. And here's why. They told you they have a problem and you're just simply offering the solution to them. And you're helping them to solve that problem. That is actually serving and helping. So I want you to go tell them about it. Go tell them about this offer. Go tell them about the solution that you came up with. If some of the people buy, then you've validated your idea. You know you can do it, right? And I'm going to talk about how we get to $1,000 in a minute, and I'll include this all with the episode show notes. So go to marianacruiz.com/episode 12. So /12, marianacruiz.com/12, and you'll be able to see all of the text that goes with this and everything else. Okay, so go tell them about it. But here's one caveat, one little catch that I want you to add when you go tell them about the solution. I want you to add a special deadline or a special sale or something special about this offer. Because here's the thing, if that's not my number one priority to solve that problem, like, yes, maybe I have that problem, but it's not my number one priority to solve it today, right now. What happens is people will just put it on the back burner. And the day might never come that they're ready to go and address that problem. So what you can do is simply give them a reason to buy now. And so you might do how with the impact formula, it's a group coaching program. So we were starting class. So like I had to end it by a certain day, right? And it was at a beta rate. So it'll probably never be at the beta rate again. So those are some of the things that I attached to the offer that made them want to buy now. And so go ahead and think of some of the constraints that you want to put on your offer. Maybe you're going to run it live, right? So it's like a live training in person, or maybe you can only take 3 people if it's a coaching service or something. Or maybe you're going to just do it as a beta run and you're saying only till the end of the month because my trial is ending at that time. So those are some ideas and some options for you if you are wanting to create some urgency around your offer. And if you're having people that are not getting off the fence, that I want to work with you, but I just can't right now. If you're having a lot of that, try to implement this. And I think that you'll see a big difference in how your offers are received. And then there's other things you can do. And I'll probably do some future podcast episodes about how to make it higher on the priority list, right? We can really start to explain why it needs to be higher. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't for them. But you can use that in your free content to really move people towards wanting to purchase now rather than later. Okay. So again, if you go and present this to the people that you've just surveyed, you will be presenting this to 5 to 10 people, and maybe some of them will buy from you and maybe they won't. And here's the thing. This is where you can really step into the scientist role and say, okay, if nobody bought from me, I'm okay with that, because I now know that this idea is just simply not what they want. Right? It doesn't have to make you wrong that they do or don't want to buy this. And this says also nothing about the service you provide. This says nothing about who you are as a person, who you are as a business owner. I just want to lay that all out there because I feel like those stories that we make up about the sales experience is what ends up causing that people get all in their head about what the process means. And this is literally what I coach my clients on. Okay, so just want to say that you are awesome. It doesn't matter if people don't buy it. It's okay. Go find another solution. Go create another solution. This is what's awesome about being an entrepreneur. You get to be creative. You get to be innovative. You get to go and help people and solve problems. Okay. So maybe a few of them have taken you up on it and you might not be at $1,000 yet, right? So depending on the price you offer, you might need 1 sale or you might need 10 sales if you price it at like $100, right? So depending on where you priced your offer, you might be at or near $1,000 or you might be like really far from it. So if you're farther from it, go and ask those people that you interviewed for referrals. Ask them to share with you who else might benefit from this. Who else do they know that would be a good fit for this program? And then you can start to tell more people, right? So maybe you're sharing it on social media. Maybe you're asking 5 previous clients for a referral or to get into this program. Maybe you reach back out to everybody else and remind them that the sale's coming to an end, right? So following up, sometimes people forget and they are interested, but they don't actually buy yet. And so, go follow up and maybe you'll get the sales that you need. So in terms of $1,000, like I said, depending on what you price your program at, you'll need a different number of sales. So you can do it probably on a calculator, but on the blog post / show notes section, you'll be able to find the exact breakdown of how many sales you need for the goal that you want. And if you want to sell more of the program, all you have to do is tell more people, right? So this is where we can get to talking about conversions and without making it super complicated, right? So if I tell 100 people about the program and 1 person buys, that's like a 1% conversion rate. So if I want to sell more, I just have to tell 200 and then I can get 2 sales. Okay. So that seems like a daunting task, right? If you're doing it manually, but what we can do is increase the conversion, right? So increase the number of sales that we can get per every 100 people. And so in this case, one of the easiest ways, and I'm going to wrap this all right back around for a second here. One of the easiest ways to increase your conversion rate is by talking to people and building real relationships. And hence why, if you're using a form and then you're just using a sales page, it becomes really hard to get a conversion. That's when you do need 100, 200, 300 people to view the offer. However, if you get people on the phone, me personally, when I started, I didn't have a very good sales phone conversion. I really sucked at sales in the beginning because I was terrified of sales as well. That was part of my journey as well. And that's why I help people with it now. But I went from literally like a 10% conversion on my sales call. I would get on a lot of sales calls and I would mess it up a lot. And I just didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't confident in my ability to sell. And honestly, I just wanted to coach and serve. And so I was coaching and serving so much that people would walk away from the call being like, oh my God, I can totally go do this on my own now. So anyways, back to the story. I ended up changing my conversion rate because I started studying sales and getting support and got coaching and got more education on it and really started practicing, because honestly, that's a lot of it, right? Is practice, practice, practice. And I got my conversion rate up to 80%, from 10% to 80%. And why do I share that with you? Because a good sales page that's done by a conversion copywriter is going to convert at like 10%. And so easiest way for you to increase your conversions is to talk to real people, build real connections, and get people on the phone. So if you want to make your next $1,000, do the research, find out what the people want, create an offer for them, attach a deadline or some sort of, special offer type stuff to that so that it's not forever and ever and ever that they can buy, and then present them the solution. And then do that presentation over the phone so that you can have an increased conversion rate. And there you have it. You have your next $1,000. It can really be this simple. Now, this is a formula, like I said in the beginning, that I have used with a lot of my clients. I've had clients go from an idea to business that is profitable in 3 weeks' time. High paying client in 3 weeks' time. That was a Jean, and she actually was interviewed on the podcast. So we can link to that in the show notes as well. And like I said, one of my current clients actually just did this similar process. She did slightly different, but in 3 days. If you find the people that need your service and you go offer it to them, that is all it takes to get your first paying client and make your next $1,000 or your next paying client. It really doesn't matter if it's your first or your 100th. If you're struggling to get sales, this is all you need to do. Now, I know that sometimes it can seem, yes, but I've done this before. Yes, but it's not working for me, right? A lot of what you're going to be doing is trial and error. So don't be so hard on yourself. Take it easy. Get the support that you need. Get a second, third set of eyes on it. This is part of the work that I do. And again, if you want the 7-day roadmap to getting your next client, I have the download that we can link to in the show notes as well, but it'll also be at marianacruiz.com/7 days. And that will be the link to getting a roadmap of how to get your next paying client in 7 days or less. And I break this strategy down with script. When you're like, I don't know what to say when I reach out to these, 10 people to ask them for an interview. I have scripts for you. I have checklists. I have a reminder for you of who to follow up with and when to follow up and how to structure the offer, and a lot more details in that roadmap. So be sure to go get it. marianacruiz.com/7 days. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode of the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. In the next episode of the Impact Driven Entrepreneur, I'm going to be talking with Kate McCarthy, and we are going to be talking about infusing who you are as a person into how you show up in your business. She's a copywriter. She's incredible at what she does, and she comes from such a beautiful, heart-centered place and helps you to show up really authentically and also, even more importantly, really ethically in your copy and online. So be sure to hit subscribe so that you can join us in the next episode. And hey, I have a favor to ask you. If you found this episode useful, because I put a lot of time and energy into this episode, and so if you found it useful, I want you to do me a favor and share this out. Share this out on Facebook, share this out on Instagram, tell one of your friends, right? Email somebody. If you know somebody that can benefit from this episode, go to the podcast app and hit share and send it to them. I really appreciate you sharing the episode, getting this into the hands of people that are going to do good through their business and help people make a difference in the world and really take that to the next level. Because here's the thing, it's really not about making $1,000. It's about helping people. And the more money that you can earn in your business, the more you can continue to do the amazing thing that you do. And I want that for everybody who wants to help others to have the gift of being rewarded financially so that they can continue to share their gifts with the world. Have a great day.